Hey, stop whatever you're doing right now. I need 8 minutes of your time, and I promise you, by the end of this video, you're going to look at your bank account, your grocery bill, and your investment portfolio completely differently than you did this morning. Because right now, as you're sitting here watching this, the American economy is losing $500 million every single day. Not per month, not per quarter, per day. And that number, it's still climbing. Since late February, when the United States and Israel launched strikes on Iran, the price of oil has surged over 50%. The Strait of Hormuz, a 21-mile-wide channel that carries 1/5 of the world's crude oil and natural gas, has been effectively shut down for the first time in history. Brent crude is trading above $110 a barrel. 3 weeks ago, it was $70. And I know exactly what you're thinking right now. Okay, gas is expensive. I've seen the pump prices. I get it. It's annoying. No, you don't get it. Not yet. Because the gas price, the number you're staring at every time you fill up, that is actually the smallest piece of what's heading towards you. There are 4 more waves of price increases coming for your wallet right now, each one bigger than the last. And most people, most people, won't see a single one coming until it's already too late to do anything about it. So stay with me, because what I'm about to walk you through isn't just what's happening to the economy, it's why your own mind is actively working against you right now, and exactly what that's going to cost you if you don't override it. Let's start with what you can already see. Gas prices. The national average has jumped from under $3 a gallon to $3.70. In California, drivers are paying over $5.30, and diesel, the fuel that powers every single 18-wheeler that delivers literally everything you buy, every product on every shelf, diesel has surged 36% to nearly $5.10 a gallon. Now, here's where your brain does something really sneaky on you. The average American household spends about $2,500 a year on fuel, roughly $50 a week. So if you're suddenly paying $10 or $15 more per week, your brain does a quick calculation, files it under annoying but manageable, and moves on. That filing is wrong, and understanding why it's wrong tells you something really important about how we all process financial danger. Psychologists use a concept called mental accounting to describe how we unconsciously separate our money into invisible buckets: gas money, grocery money, fund money, savings. When one bucket suddenly overflows, we don't sit down and calmly redistribute. We react emotionally. We slash whatever feels optional. Dining out disappears. The gym membership gets canceled. That trip you were planning just evaporates. And that investment contribution you told yourself you'd increase this year, it quietly stays exactly where it is. The chief economist at the National Retail Federation confirmed exactly this pattern. When gas prices spike, the first casualties are experiences, movie theaters, theme parks, restaurants, not because those things got more expensive, but because your survival instinct reclassified them as luxuries the moment a mandatory expense jumped. And that instinct is about to get a whole lot louder, because gas is just wave 1. Nobody is framing this correctly right now. The economic impact of this conflict isn't one price spike that goes away. It's a rolling series of shocks arriving on different timelines, each one compounding the last. And by the time most people recognize the full picture, 4 of the 5 waves will have already hit. Wave 2 is landing right now. Groceries, specifically perishables, produce, meat, dairy, the things that can't sit in a warehouse waiting for prices to stabilize. Refrigerated trucks run on diesel, and a 36% diesel spike means the cost of moving perishable food just went vertical. Supply chain researchers confirmed grocery stores will be the first place consumers see higher prices outside of gas stations, and the less shelf-stable the item, the more exposed it is. Here's the thing. Retailers won't raise prices overnight. They'll absorb the cost for a while. But they've already been absorbing tariff costs for over a year. There is almost no margin left. When they stop absorbing, and they will stop, the sticker price catches up fast. One economics professor at Boston College warned that if oil prices stay elevated for any meaningful period, you'll see a persistent cost shock that businesses simply cannot eat anymore. Wave 3 won't arrive for months, but it's already baked in. Fertilizer. And I know that sounds boring, but stay with me because this is the one that should genuinely concern you. Fossil fuels account for 80% of fertilizer production costs. The countries directly impacted by this conflict, Iran, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and the UAE, are among the world's top fertilizer producers, and one-third of the global fertilizer supply passes through the Strait of Hormuz, the same waterway that's currently shut down. So here's the brutal reality. The food you eat in September and October is getting more expensive right now because of inputs that farmers are paying a premium for this month. You won't feel this wave until fall. By then, it'll be too late to prepare for it. And by then, most people will have completely forgotten that the seeds of that price shock were planted right now in March. Wave 4, Airfare. Jet fuel has surged roughly 85% since this war began. Airlines from Qantas to SAS to India's biggest carriers have already announced air hikes. And unlike gas, which fluctuates daily, airlines bake fuel costs into their pricing models months in advance. Those higher fares don't come down fast even if oil drops tomorrow. If you're planning a summer vacation, your ticket prices are about to hurt. A lot. Wave 5, and this is the one almost nobody has connected yet, interest rates. The Federal Reserve was expected to start cutting rates this year. Lower borrowing costs on your mortgage, your car loan, your credit card. That was the expectation. That expectation is now dead. Some economists project the first rate cut won't happen until the third quarter at the earliest, and if inflation accelerates, rates could actually go up. If you were planning to buy a home, refinance, or make a major purchase, the math just changed underneath you, silently, while you were focused on the gas station sign. Real talk for a second. When you first heard that oil prices spiked because of the Iran conflict, how many of those downstream effects did your mind immediately connect? One? Maybe two? You're completely normal, and that normality, that's exactly the problem. There's a well-documented phenomenon in behavioral psychology called anchoring bias. When you encounter a complex, multi-layered problem, your mind doesn't process every layer simultaneously. It grabs the most visible data point and uses that as a stand-in for the entire situation. Right now, for most Americans, that anchor is the number on the gas station sign. 370, 420, 530, whatever it is in your area. That number has become the proxy for the entire economic impact of this war. And because it feels annoying but survivable, your internal threat assessment files the whole crisis under temporary inconvenience. Meanwhile, economists estimated the gas price spike alone could push monthly inflation to 1% in March, the highest monthly increase in 4 years. Annual inflation approaching 3%. And that's before the grocery shock, before the fertilizer shock, before the airfare shock, and before the ripple through every single consumer good that needs to be transported anywhere in this country. The International Energy Agency called this the greatest global energy security challenge in history. Not a moderate disruption, the greatest in history. And your anchoring bias is looking at the pump price, comparing it to last month, and quietly whispering, "We'll manage." This is precisely what happened in 2022 after Russia invaded Ukraine. Gas spiked, people grumbled, then the shock bled into groceries, rent, services, everything. Inflation hit 9%. By the time most people grasped the full scope, the damage to their purchasing power was already completely done. You're not irrational for missing this. You're running the exact same mental software as 330 million other Americans. The difference right now, today, is that you know what the software is doing, and knowing that is the first step to overriding it. Now let's talk about what's actually keeping you up at night, your investments. The S&P 500 has dropped nearly 7% from its January peak. The Dow just posted 4 consecutive losing weeks, its longest losing streak in 3 years. If you own index funds or target date retirement funds, you felt this. The Nasdaq briefly dipped into correction territory, falling nearly 10% from its high. And gold, which everyone assumed was the ultimate safe haven, spiked above $5,400 an ounce and then crashed more than 10% in a single week, its worst performance since 1983. Even the safe plays aren't behaving the way people expected. And right now, every single instinct in your body is screaming one thing: sell, get out, protect what's left. That instinct has a name: loss aversion. Research from Princeton demonstrated that the psychological pain of losing money is roughly twice as intense as the pleasure of gaining the same amount. A $5,000 portfolio loss doesn't feel like a $5,000 problem. It feels like a $10,000 emergency. Not because you're bad at math, because your nervous system evolved in an environment where losses could literally be fatal. That wiring hasn't updated for 401ks. But here's what actually happens when people act on it. Across 40 major geopolitical events over 85 years, the average first-month loss was just 0.9%, followed by 3.4% gain over the next 6 months. The pattern is remarkably consistent. The people who sold in panic locked in their losses. The people who held through the turbulence captured the recovery. In March 2020, the market crashed hard.